230.
देहि नित्यमवध्योऽयम्
देहि नित्यमवध्योऽयम्
देहे सर्वस्य भारत
देहे सर्वस्य भारत
तस्मात् सर्वाणि भूतानि
तस्मात् सर्वाणि भूतानि
न त्वं शोचितुमर्हसि
न त्वं शोचितुमर्हसि
231. The meaning of the words of the shloka. Dehi, the embodied self. Nityam avadhyoyam. That is Nityam plus avadhyaha plus ayam. Nityam, always. Avadhyaha, indestructible. Ayam, he, this. Dehe, in the body. Sarvasya, of all. Bharata, O Bharata, Arjuna. Tasmat, therefore. Sarvani, for all. Any. Bhudani, for creatures. Na, not. Tvam, you. Shochitum arhasi. Shochitum plus arhasi. Shochitum, to grieve. Arhasi, you deserve. 232. The meaning of the shloka. O Arjuna, this embodied self in the body of all is always indestructible. Therefore, you deserve not to grieve for any creature. 233. Bhashya.
देहि शरीरी नित्यं सर्वदा सर्वावस्थासु अवध्यः निरवयवत्वाद् नित्यत्वाद् च तत्र अवध्यः अयं देहे शरीरे सर्वस्य सर्वगतत्वाद् स्थावरादिषु स्थितः अपि सर्वस्य प्राणिजातस्य देहे वध्यमाने अपि अयं देही न वध्यः यस्माद् तस्माद् भीष्मादीनि सर्वाणि भूतानि उद्दिश्य न त्वं शोचितुम् अर्हसि.
Translation. The embodied self is always, in all situations, indestructible. Indestructible because it is eternal and has no parts. This self is indestructible even in immovable beings, as it exists in the body of everything. Even if the bodies of all beings are destroyed, this self is not destroyed. For this reason, you do not deserve to grieve for any being, that is including Bhishma. 234. Explanation. We have already seen that having no parts is one reason for the indestructibility of the self. It is never born and never dies and is thus eternal. Whatever body this self dwells in, be it of Brahma of the Trinity or the lowliest blade of grass, it is indestructible. The Acharya draws our attention to the fact that it is the same self that is present in us as in the trees and plants. The theory of eternality of the self that began in Shloka 11 is reiterated and concluded here. 235. Bhashya.
इह परमार्थतत्त्वापेक्षायां शोको मोहो वा न सम्भवति इति उक्तम्. न केवलं परमार्थतत्त्वापेक्षायाम् एव किन्तु.
Translation. It has been stated here that there cannot be delusion or sorrow from the standpoint of the ultimate reality. But it is not merely from the standpoint of the ultimate reality, but 236. Explanation. Though he has given the philosophical basis for not grieving, Bhagavan feels that Arjuna, the worldly man, would not have grasped the import. Therefore, he begins to look at it from the mundane and moral point of view. Here we see an example of the Guru coming down to the level of the disciple. Then why did he present the difficult thesis first? Won't it have been better to lead the disciple from his level, step by step? The answer is that the disciple needs to have a clear idea of the goal before he starts his spiritual journey. If that is not there, he is likely to get distracted and may falter at the tests on the way. This is the usual style of the Vedic Guru. In fact, the whole of the rest of Gita is about how to reach this goal. Different methods are laid down so that the individual can choose what is best for him.